Hello and welcome to my channel, I Went to Lose Gaming. So I've had a bit more time to play with Rosaria's Cryo sub DPS build, and it is actually insanely good. In this video, I will show you how to consistently quadruple melt with every pyro character. Guys, I'm finally a real YouTuber now. When I made my first Genshin Impact video out of crippling depression, it was inconceivable to me that this would happen. And how did I finally become a real YouTuber? Well, it's time to pay some bills, and I have my very first sponsor. And I'm not sure if you've ever heard of them, but it's Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends has taken over both gaming and YouTube. Raid Shadow Legends has actually changed everything in the mobile gaming industry. With over 500 champions, there are literally millions of champion combinations. You guys know me and how much I like area of effect archers. Well, that's why my team in Raid Shadow Legends is a bunch of waifu archers with area of effect. And that's the perfect segue to talk about my favorite hero, Elhain. Elhain does massive area of effect damage to the enemy. She will annihilate everything in the first few chapters of the campaign. Raids just hit their 2-year anniversary. With a load of anniversary events and tournaments going on right now, there are tons of free gifts and rewards. The schedule is jam-packed until the middle of April, with insane anniversary events and tournaments with massive prizes to win. Participate in a clan vs clan tournament for some epic competition versus another clan. Raid also just released the new Shadowkin faction, inspired by Asian folklore with amazing looking champions. And later this month, there will be a new Doom Tower rotation with 2 tough new bosses. And you can get a huge head start in Raid, and all you have to do is to hit the link in the description below or scan the QR code right here. If you're a new player, you'll get your free epic champion Jotun, who is amazing for Doom Tower, and you'll also get 100,000 silver, 50 gems, and 3 ancient shards for summoning awesome champions as soon as you get in game. For the next 30 days only, you can find these rewards in game by clicking on the treasure chest icon in the top right corner. Seriously guys, you all have been the best audience anyone could have asked for. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible, and I truly wanted to thank all of you for your support, as well as Raid Shadow Legends for their generosity and for sponsoring this video. Thanks again everyone, and now let's get back to our regularly scheduled content. First of all, what is quadruple melt? It is melting both hits of her E and both hits of her burst's initial cast. You can melt the 4 cryo ticks from her burst as well, but I wanted to first focus on how to melt the first 4 cryo hits in this video. So why is this possible? It's because of 2 game mechanics, the elemental gauge theory and internal cooldowns. I won't go into too much detail, but I'll provide a quick summary of both of them. For our current pyro characters, all of them can apply either a level 1 or a level 2 pyro debuff. The melt reaction from the cryo side subtracts 0.5 of a pyro debuff. So even with a level 1 pyro debuff on the enemy, you can melt both of Rosaria's hits. On top of that, both Rosaria's elemental skill and Rosaria's elemental burst have no internal cooldowns on proccing melt. Certain abilities have an internal cooldown that restricts you from performing elemental reactions in rapid succession. Rosaria doesn't have this problem, so both hits on Rosaria's E apply cryo, and all hits from Rosaria's Q also apply cryo. Because of decay and casting duration, even with a level 2 pyro debuff like Bennett's burst, you can't melt all 4 hits from Rosaria's E and then Q. So as such, we need to be a little bit creative. We need to apply pyro before and after Rosaria's E. We also want to minimize switching when possible. Let's take a look at all the characters and their options for quadruple melting Rosaria's E and Q. But before that, let's quickly go over my Rosaria's build. There are many ways to build her for this role, but overall the best artifact sets to use is the 2-piece Blitz of Strayer with the 2-piece Noblesse Oblige. For this video, here are my Rosaria's stats. She is using a Refinement 1 Dragon's Bane throughout this video, and she's at Constellation 0, and her talents are only at 666. Since I'll be using Pyrovine as her volunteer for most of this, and since I need to break Pyrovine's orb with a Hydro attack, I followed up with a quick use of Bennett's E to remove the Hydro debuff in all of these clips. That way, I can use the intended character as if I was doing this to an enemy without any debuffs on them. Starting off with our favorite chef from Liyue, we have Xiangling. Xiangling has multiple ways to do this, with the first one being Guoba. Guoba can easily apply Pyro before Rosaria's E, and then right before Rosaria's Q. Xiangling's Pyronado needs little explanation as it swirls around constantly applying pyro to the enemy. Next we have Klee. Usually Klee's Jumpy Dumpties allow Rosaria to quadruple melt. Sometimes though it only does a triple melt, but overall this is fairly consistent. Next we have Hu Tao. We can utilize her delayed Blood Blossoms to do this. Simply use her E and then use her Q after Blood Blossom procs. Our favorite Outrider Amber has multiple ways to do this as well, with the easiest just being her burst, and then using Rosaria's E and Q during Amber's burst. Alternatively, you can also time Amber's Baron Bunny explosions. You could do this with just one Baron Bunny as well if you shoot the enemy with her charge shot first, but for this example, I used both the Baron Bunny's explosions for this. Unfortunately, Diluc has no way of not needing to swap in and out for this. Fortunately though, he can do this with just his elemental skill, with the first part then the second part, which is very nice and hardly a loss in efficiency based on the way that Diluc works. Bennett has a similar problem to Diluc, and he actually needs to burst first, where you would use Rosaria's E, and then you can swap Bennett back in to use his skill, and then use Rosaria's Q. This is still worth it though, as Rosaria gets that juicy attack buff from Bennett's burst. If you have Bennett at Constellation 6, now you don't have to swap Bennett back in. Just use Rosaria's E, left click with Rosaria to apply Pyro, since Bennett's Constellation 6 turns her melee attacks into Pyro, and then melt Rosaria's Q. And last but not least, we have Xinyan. By using her skill on multiple targets, her shield will intermittently pulse pyro damage. You can time Rosaria's E and Q to her shield pulses. Now I want to demonstrate just how actually useful this is in Abyss 12. I will be doing this with a pyro damage main DPS Klee. Now I've put a level 50 Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers on Klee because otherwise with her normal weapon she does way too much damage and just, kills everything too fast. So this way Rosaria can actually shine here. And also like this, my Klee is around a very well invested free-to-play player's Klee. The first thing to note is that I always try to snapshot Rosaria's burst with Bennett's attack buff. This way Rosaria's burst will have increased damage throughout its entire duration. Also, by using Rosaria's burst after Rosaria's skill, you will get that additional 12% crit rate assuming her skill hit an enemy from behind. By using the earlier Constellation 6 Bennett's quadruple melt tech and then switching to Klee with an immediate Jumpy Dumpty, Rosaria is able to melt all the hits from her E and Q consistently thanks to Klee's consistent pyro application. On top of all this, Rosaria is providing my poor 3-star weapon yielding Klee with 10 to 12% bonus crit rate. And with Klee's current build, Klee only had 48% crit rate, so any additional crit rate is a substantial boost to her DPS. Now 12-2 was a bit slower than I would have liked, but that's because I wanted to have full energy on all my characters before 12-3. 12-3 is one of the most satisfying places to burst down the 2 beefy robots in quick succession, and it's also a great place to demonstrate this quadruple melt tech. So as we can see, Rosaria is dishing out a ton of cryo damage with her non-stop melts of her burst, along with some type of main pyro DPS to really keep pyro on the enemy, and these robots go down in no time at all. So just how much damage is Rosaria doing? After doing a little bit of math with my current Rosaria stats, with just Bennett's burst and pyro resonance, my Rosaria is doing around 169,000 damage for her E and her Q. Considering how little screen time Rosaria needs and how she adds crit rate for her entire team, this is a very respectable amount of sub DPS. Anyway, I hope you found this video informative. Sub DPS Cryo Burst Rosaria is looking to be an extremely valuable and powerful character. And I want to take a second to really thank you guys for bringing my channel to where it is today. I honestly can't believe I had a sponsorship, so big thanks to you guys again, and big thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Thanks for watching. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Win to Lose, signing out.